All right, great. So today let's talk a little bit about the hips and pelvis within bioenergetic analysis therapy. So as you could probably already guess, that these pieces of our body are so very, very important. The hips and the pelvis specifically have a lot to do with our sexuality, with our natural vitality. With this whole area over here gets stuck with a lot of neurotic holding patterns that do have a lot to do with sexuality and our ability to either feel great in our sexuality or feel kind of scared, maybe because of some sexual trauma that have happened in the past. So this piece over here is very, very important for us to work on, and it's one of those things that really distinguish bioenergetic analysis therapy from other types of therapies, specifically talk therapies, where sometimes you may not get to speak about this stuff, or if something has happened very early on, you may not even realize how much it affected you. Whereas when you work in your pelvic region as within your body itself, and you can really go into the depth of the neurotic holding patterns that exist there, the tension that exists there, the trauma that's been held there, then it could bring up either memories, or it could just bring up some deep releases from the trauma itself. So any feelings of like not being okay about sexual desires, or drive for pleasure, or acting sexy, tends to create holding patterns in this pelvic region. So you'll notice within bioenergetic exercises, you will learn to be okay feeling your sexual energy, let's say your sexuality, the feelings that are within. You're going to be okay with feeling that, and we're going to become okay with feeling that, because sometimes we're not, and but it has nothing to do with genital stimulation. So when we do talk about sexual feeling, just know that it has nothing to do with your genitals necessarily. Okay, actually, it has nothing to do with your genitals at all. So just know that. Okay, so if we talk about sexual feelings, it does not have to do with your genitals. Just one more time, letting you guys know about that. Okay. So yeah, a lot of times we have these neurotic holding patterns around this area, and what ends up happening is it becomes like a naughty zone. Nobody can touch there, nobody can go there. We can't even talk about it really. But then some people have like an overly sexualized mind, and then it's just like how do you say it? It's just like a distortion. This part, the real pieces of their sexuality, of their sexual feelings and all that stuff, it's a naughty zone that they're not allowed to feel. But over here, they're just constantly overly sexualized, and it's just this like dissociation, which really creates a lot of neurosis and creates a lot of issues for people. So I'm sure you could see how being sexually traumatized or repressed or suppressed creates issues along the way in our lives. So it's going to be very, very, very important for us to tackle this head on in any therapeutic in any type of therapeutic endeavor. We have to tackle sex and sexual feeling and our sexuality and our understanding of these things, and also our growth within them. How are we taught about these things? And one thing that I like to talk about is in different cultures, like let's say the Caribbean cultures, like around the Caribbean, they have a whole different understanding of sexual feeling and of their body and stuff like that. And you can see sometimes if you just walk in let's say Costa Rica or other places like that, just the way their hips and their pelvis moves. It just moves much more naturally and much more freely as they just walk around. In our Western culture, sometimes it's like the complete opposite. It's just like we're very stiff when it comes to our pelvis and our hips. And the reason is a lot of times because we've been taught early on that was like a naughty zone, and we were not allowed to have the sexual feeling, which is a big part of our development and our growth. And it's necessary for us to feel good, to feel sexy, and to feel great within our bodies. Doesn't mean you have to act on these sexual feelings. Doesn't mean that you're going to orgasm or anything like that. So just letting you know, again, there's no genital excitation. It's just the feelings of feeling down into your pelvic floor and into your area, into your pelvic and hip area, and being able to walk naturally and just feeling how great it feels to be within your body, to be sexy within your body. So I think we could probably end it right there. I'm just gonna probably show you some exercises along the way. I think the important thing to notice about the exercises themselves, though, is before you actually do them, you have to be grounded. You have to make sure that you're grounded. Basically, working on your legs. Your legs have to be mostly freed from a lot of the traumatic holding patterns, and you want to be able to feel deeply within your legs so that you can start working on your hips and pelvis appropriately. Additionally, it's very important to breathe during these exercises. And as you're breathing during these exercises, know that a lot of emotions are going to come up because in this place, in this area, there is a lot of neurotic holding patterns, generally speaking, because of our parents' inability to talk about sex, or sometimes we were traumatized by this. Even if it was just simply we were starting to feel sexy, and then our parents didn't know what to do about it, and then they just like pulled away from us. Something like that, something as simple as that, or just a simple no, don't do that. When we're very young and very susceptible to anything that seems like we were just rejected, can be some type of issue in us, and could have created some type of issue in us. So it doesn't have to be that we were sexually molested or anything like that, but that exists too. And then then there's a lot even more traumatic holding patterns happening to people like that. So please know, like many sexual dysfunctions, many sexual taboos and erotic behaviors stem from wounds and traumas that happen in this area of the body. So we take this very seriously, and emotions are generally going to come up while we're doing some of these exercises, so be okay with them. Additionally, when you do these exercises, make sure that you have some time to rest afterwards, to get back into a calm, centered place. Don't just do the exercises and let yourself be chaotic about it. Make sure that you feel into them afterwards and be okay with the feeling of them, and also get back to a calm, centered, peaceful place.